The boss battle is usually the pinnacle of the adventure, whether it's the finale to the level or the entire game. The point of a boss battle is to create a final climax, a do or die situation where your only objective is to overcome the boss. Everything has led up to this battle, so it needs to get the player invested and make the journey feel worthwhile. A good boss will feel stronger and more threatening than anything you've come across so far. Game devs pay a significant amount of attention to how their antagonists are presented and what emotions they provoke within the player. Pokemon Red and Blue released 1996, February 27th for the Game Boy platforms. In Pokemon games, the region's champion is the final boss to your adventure that leads into the endgame. Ever since Generation 1, the style of Pokemon battle music persists and use a particular rhythm and pitch changes to create a battle theme that engages the player and covers all aspects of the fight. Your fight with Gary Oak starts with a descending tone that leads into a steady beat that gets faster as Gary starts to reveal his Pokemon. This piece is carefully crafted in order to give Gary that sort of intimidating presence, as you'll notice the majority of the song is downbeat. Even with the Game Boy's clear audio limitations, the theme is still portrayed perfectly, and the feeling of threat and challenge is quickly given to the trainer. We can find the same elements in a more modern and fan-favourite theme in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl and Platinum's champion, Cynthia. The piece starts off with the similar intro that has a descending pitch which throws you into the confrontation. However, this time the pitch rises again and suddenly bursts into a fast-paced beat. Much of the song is centered around the fast-paced rhythm, but there are also some points where the music slows down and produces this ghoulish howl that takes you away from the action for a second to realize the capacity of Cynthia's power as a trainer. And that you're still on Spiritomb and she has 5 more Pokemon left. These fights and their themes are aimed to get you engaged into the fight and realize your opponent as a genuine threat, so you can be more invested into the final climax. Now it's time to talk about fear. Overwhelming fear. "2016's Destiny was one of the year's biggest releases, and its DLCs are highly renowned among the players for pushing the story forward and bringing in excellent new content. This piece is from The Taken King, Destiny's third and second last DLC, where you face Oryx, the Taken King himself, an intergalactic warlord Hive King that they worship like a god. The original soundtrack is an orchestral performance using various different instruments like trumpets, drums, and violins, and back vocals, all at once to create this complex piece. Intro uses a rhythm rising in pitch slightly as it reaches the end of each stanza. It rises to represent the size of Oryx's will and devastation, whilst also having the low, dark undertone to solidify him as an incredibly dangerous and evil force. Straight after this reaches its peak, the pitch drops and changes into a dark descending tone that reminds you of his terrifying power as you remember how he wipes out the Awoken's forces and with one blast of his drip, the Dreadnought, leaves a hole in Saturn's rings. And then into a steady rhythm that gives off the feeling of the threat moving closer as they truly are. I also like how, as the piece moves forward, the frequency and tempo become faster and more frantic, and that really infuse panic into the player. It's all an attempt to place these emotions within the player. That is the key to giving Oryx that feeling of being a genuine threat, and there's no way of engaging the player more than making them genuinely scared. Developing on the theme of fear in bosses, with this boss, the fear comes from what you can't see instead. Dead Rising 2, a third-person zombie hack and slash, where you frequently find yourself in the midst of an army of undead, fighting your way towards the objective or the nearest escape. However, in your first real boss fight, there is little escape from the chainsaw sport bike riding psychopath, Leon.
Oh well, looky here, if it ain't little Chucky Queen.
We first meet Leon before Chuck Green enters the game show Terror is Reality, and shows his cocky personality.
Guess you suck at killing zombies, otherwise she'd still be around.
This shows in the song and its vocals as well. Terror is reality. The phrase is continually whispered to you as Leon lurks around the Central Park in between the crowds of zombies waiting to strike unannounced. The style of the fight fits the song nicely and puts the fear and sense of danger in the player that they wanted to. The rock music fits his motorbike theme, and when you are in the open, it's genuinely scary, as you are at risk of being attacked without any means of defense. However, using fear as the main driving emotion for players engaging in the boss fight is not always welcoming. I remember trying my best to avoid Leon when I was young playing the game. What really makes you want to get engaged and playing the game as intended is an adrenaline rush. E1 M1 at Doom's Gate is the most popular original soundtrack for the original Doom game from 1993 and remade in the latest Doom 2016. It has an initial build-up that leads into a fast tempo rhythm, getting the player excited and ready for action. The core of Doom's gameplay is being an extremely fast-paced, no-breaks first-person shooter. You never run out of ammo or demons to kill, to forget all sense of strategy and premeditation, and just start running and shooting, because that's ultimately more fun and engaging. Many stanzas of the song keep a consistent rhythm that helps to immerse you into the game. It's a lot easier to lose yourself in the action when you have a consistent tune playing. You already are familiar with the noise, so it won't distract you. In the remade version, the general style of the song is transferred over. The only difference is the better sound capabilities, and this time the same familiar beat and rhythm is used with a lot louder guitars, drums, and techno style enhancings. It makes for a game that gets you into the mood for demon killing action. It gets you engaged and immersed into the gameplay, and the music that goes together perfectly. In conclusion, we can gather that the main aspects of a boss battle theme, or battle theme in general, is the fluctuations and different combinations of pitches and frequencies within a stanza that are made to provoke emotions within you. It can be a rising beat to make you feel smaller than your opponent, or a low pitch to make a darker atmosphere. It can even be a set of small vocals if they really want to get across a point or emotion. Thank you for listening.